At the picnic, my child looked up at my dad and said, "I cannot wait for the family vacation." My dad chuckled, looked at my kid, and said, "You are not invited." I packed up our things, and we have never been to another family event. My daughter's face did the thing children's faces do when the world has just shown them something they did not know the world contained. She was 8 years old. She had been eating watermelon. She had juice on her chin and both hands, and the specific joy of a child at an outdoor gathering who has been running and eating and existing with the complete physical commitment of someone who has not yet learned to manage their own enthusiasm. She looked up at my father with her juice-sticky hands and her whole face open, and she told him she could not wait for the beach trip. She had heard about it from her cousin. 3 days, a rental house on the coast, the whole family. She had heard about it the way children hear about things they have not been told directly, through the peripheral information of a gathering where adults talk and children listen from the edges. My father looked at my daughter. He chuckled. The chuckle first. The specific sound of a man who finds something mildly amusing and is about to explain the amusement. He looked at her. "You're not invited, sweetheart," he told her. My daughter looked at him. My daughter looked at me. I was already standing. My name is Nora. My daughter's name is Lily. She is the child of a relationship that ended when she was 2, a relationship my parents had never fully accepted, and Lily has my face and her father's surname, and 8 years of being received by my family as something adjacent to theirs rather than part of it. I had told myself this was getting better. I had been telling myself this for 6 years with the specific practiced optimism of someone who needs a thing to be true and has decided that behaving as if it is true will eventually make it so. My father's name is Douglas. He is 64 years old and has the quality of someone who has lived inside his own logic for so long that his logic feels to him like objective fact. He does not consider himself unkind. He considers himself honest. He delivers things that land as cruelty with the comfortable confidence of a man who has never once been required to examine the distance between his intention and his impact. Lily had juice on her chin. She had been so happy 5 seconds ago. I looked at my father. He had already turned back to his conversation with my uncle. I looked at my daughter's face. 8 years old. The world showing her something she did not know the world contained. I crouched down to her level. I wiped the juice off her chin with my thumb. "Let's get more watermelon," I told her. She looked at me. "Why am I not invited?" she asked. I stood up. I took her hand. I walked to the food table and I loaded a plate with things she liked, and I found a spot away from the main gathering, under the oak tree at the edge of the yard, and we sat together on the grass and I watched her eat it, and I thought about everything I was going to do next. My mother found me under the oak tree 20 minutes later. Her name is Vivian, and she has the quality of someone who has spent 40 years managing the temperature in rooms my father occupied and has become so practiced at the management that she no longer notices she is doing it. She sat in the grass next to me in her good slacks, and she looked at Lily eating fruit from the plate. "Your father didn't mean it the way it sounded," she told me. I looked at the gathering across the yard. My uncle. My brother Callum. Callum's wife and their 2 children, who were on the beach trip list, who had been on the beach trip list without question. "How did he mean it?" I asked. Vivian looked at the grass. "The beach house is small," she told me. "There's a limit on how many people." "Callum's family is going," I replied. "His wife and 2 children. That's 4 people." "They're different," she started. "Vivian," I told her. "Don't." She looked at me. "Lily is 8 years old," I told her. She heard about the trip from her cousin. She asked Grandpa about it with juice on her face, and he chuckled at her and told her she wasn't invited. My mother looked at Lily. Lily was examining a strawberry with the focused attention of someone who has retreated into a small and manageable task. "I'll talk to him," Vivian told me. "Don't," I replied. She looked at me. "I mean it," I told her. "Don't talk to him about this. Don't smooth it over. Don't make it smaller than it was." "What are you going to do?" she asked. I looked at my daughter under the oak tree. "We're going to finish the fruit," I told her. "And then we're going to go home." We packed up in 12 minutes. Not dramatically. I did not make an announcement. I found Lily's shoes under the picnic table and I put them on her feet, and I gathered our bag and the container I had brought potato salad in, and I found my brother Callum near the grill. Callum looked at me when I came to say goodbye. He looked at Lily beside me. "You're leaving," he told me. Not a question. He had seen his daughter tell Lily about the beach trip an hour earlier. He had been in the vicinity of the oak tree. He knew what had happened. "Yeah," I told him. "Early morning tomorrow." A lie. Both of us knew it was a lie. He crouched down to Lily's level. "Good to see you, Lily Bug," he told her. Lily looked at him with the 8-year-old version of composure, the face of a child who has decided to be okay in public and will process later. "Bye, Uncle Callum," she told him. He stood up and looked at me. "I'll call you," he told me. "Sure," I replied. I found my parents near the drink table. My father was in the middle of a story. I waited for a pause. "We're heading out," I told him. He looked at me. Then at Lily. "So soon," he told me. I looked at him. "Thank you for having us," I replied. I took Lily's hand. We walked to the car. In the car, Lily was quiet for the first 10 minutes. She sat in the back seat with her seatbelt on and her hands in her lap and looked out the window at the streets moving past. At minute 11, she looked at the back of my head. "Are we actually on the invited list?" she asked. "For any of the family things?" I looked at the road. "You're always invited to things I know about," I told her. "That's not what I asked," she replied. 8 years old. Already asking the precise question. I drove for a moment. "Some of the family things don't include us," I told her. "That's true. And I've been trying to change that for a long time, and today showed me I haven't changed it enough." She looked out the window. "Because of my dad," she told me. My hands on the wheel. "Because some people in the family have complicated feelings," I told her. "And that's not about you. That's about them." "But it lands on me," she told me. I drove for a moment. "Yes," I replied. "It does." She turned back to the window. "I don't want to go to things where I'm not wanted," she told me. "You won't," I replied. "Not anymore." She looked at the window. "Promise," she told me. "Promise," I replied. She went back to the window and I drove, and the promise settled into the car, and I understood that I had just made a commitment that was going to require me to do something I had been not doing for 6 years. The phone rang that night. "Callum." I answered because Callum was not my father, and the conversation with Callum was a different conversation. He told me he had talked to our father after I left. I waited. "It didn't go well," Callum told me. "What does that mean?" I asked. "He thinks you overreacted," Callum told me. "He thinks you were looking for an excuse to leave early, and Lily asking about the trip was a convenient moment." I looked at my kitchen wall. "What do you think?" I asked. Callum was quiet for a moment. "I think he looked at your 8-year-old daughter and told her she wasn't invited," he told me. "In front of everyone. Without looking at you first. Without any awareness of what that would land like on an 8-year-old. And," I asked. "And I should have said something in the moment," Callum told me. "I saw it happen and I didn't say anything, and I've been sitting with that for 4 hours." I sat with his honesty. "Why didn't you?" I asked. "Because I never do," he told me. "With him. I never say the thing in the moment. I process it later and I call you later, and by then the damage is done." "Yes," I replied. "By then the damage is done?" We stayed on the phone for a while longer. Callum asked what I was going to do. I told him I was going to think about it. He told me to call him when I had figured it out. I put my phone down. I went to Lily's room. She was asleep. 8 years old, curled on her side, the stuffed rabbit she had slept with since she was 3 tucked under her arm. I stood in her doorway. I thought about my father's chuckle. The specific sound of it. The amusement. The "you're not invited, sweetheart," delivered with the ease of someone who had not once considered what it would do to the person it landed on. I looked at my daughter in her bed. I closed the door. I went to the kitchen and I made tea, and I sat at the table and I thought about 6 years of family events attended with the specific careful hope that this time it would be different. It had not been different. It had been the same with slightly different staging, and I had kept attending because Lily deserved to have a family, and I had believed that my attendance was protecting her access to one. What she had access to was a grandfather who chuckled at her and told her she was not invited. What I had been protecting her from was the clarity of knowing that I had not been protecting her. I had been protecting myself from the decision I was now going to have to make. The decision was made. We were done. My father called on a Tuesday. Not the next day. 4 days later, which told me my mother had spent 4 days trying to get him to call, and he had spent 4 days deciding whether he needed to. He apparently decided he needed to. His voice had the tone he used when he was doing something he found unnecessary but had agreed to do for the sake of household peace. The slightly formal warmth of a man completing an obligation. He told me he had been thinking about the picnic. I waited. He told me he understood Lily had been upset. I waited. He told me the beach house genuinely did have limited capacity and the comment had been poorly timed but not malicious. I looked at my kitchen table. Dad, I replied. I need to ask you something directly. He told me to go ahead. Do you consider Lily part of this family? I asked. A pause. She's your daughter, he told me. That's not what I asked, I replied. Another pause. Longer. The situation with her father, he started. Has nothing to do with Lily, I replied. She was 2 years old when that ended. She's 8 now. She has never done anything except exist. And she looked up at you with juice on her face and you told her she wasn't invited. My father was quiet. The family has there are different levels of, he started. Stop, I told him. He stopped. I've been bringing her to family events for 6 years, I told him. Watching her be received as something peripheral. Something adjacent. Never fully in. And I kept coming because I thought proximity would eventually produce belonging, and today I understand that it won't. Not in this version of the family. My father was quiet. What are you saying? He asked. I'm saying we won't be at family events anymore, I told him. Not because I'm punishing you. Because I promised my daughter I wouldn't take her to places where she isn't wanted. And you showed me clearly that this is one of those places. The line was very quiet. You're cutting off your family, he told me. I'm protecting my daughter, I replied. Those are different things. He was quiet for a long time. I didn't mean to hurt her, he told me. I believe you, I replied. You didn't mean to. You did it anyway. And the not meaning to doesn't change what she experienced. We stayed on the phone for a few minutes longer and said goodbye with the distance of two people who are not fighting and are not reconciling and are simply in different places about something that matters. I put my phone down. I sat in the kitchen. I felt the specific weight of a decision that has been made and cannot be unmade and is correct and still costs something. My mother called the next morning. Vivian's call had a different quality than my father's. Not the formal obligation tone. The genuine worry of a woman who had been managing a situation for 40 years and had finally encountered a version of it she could not manage. She told me she was devastated. I waited. She told me she loved Lily. That I had to know she loved Lily. I know you do, I told her. In your way. What does that mean? She asked. It means you love her and you have also watched her be treated as peripheral for 6 years and you've managed the temperature around it instead of addressing it, I told her. And at the picnic when it happened in front of everyone you came to sit next to me under the oak tree and told me your husband didn't mean it the way it sounded. Vivian was quiet. I've been doing that for 40 years, she told me. I know, I replied. I don't know how to stop, she told me. I know that too, I replied. But I need you to understand that the managing has a cost. And the cost has been paid by Lily. An 8-year-old has been paying the cost of the managing every time she walked into a family event and was received as something less than the other grandchildren. My mother was crying. Quietly, the way she cried when she did not want to be heard crying. I can't change your father, she told me. I'm not asking you to, I replied. I'm telling you what I can and cannot bring my daughter into. So what? She asked. I just never see Lily? I thought about this. You can see Lily, I told her. You can come here. We can go to lunch, you and me and Lily. What I won't do is bring her to family events where she is received as less than. Vivian absorbed that. He's not going to change, she told me. I know, I replied. That's why we're not going to family events. My mother cried quietly for a moment longer. I should have done more, she told me. Yes, I replied. You should have. We stayed on the phone until she had finished crying and then we said goodbye and I sat in my kitchen and thought about the years of events I had attended and the managing I had watched and the 8-year-old who had been paying the cost. Callum came over the following Saturday. Not a call. He came over, showed up at my door with his daughter Maya, who was Lily's cousin and the one who had told Lily about the beach trip, and he stood in my doorway and asked if they could come in. I let them in. Maya and Lily went to Lily's room. Callum sat at my kitchen table. He sat there for a moment looking at the table surface. I talked to Dad, he told me. I waited. He's not going to come around, he told me. I want you to hear that from me directly rather than wait to find out. He's framed this as you overreacting and he's going to maintain that frame. I know, I replied. Mom is devastated, he continued. I know that too, I replied. Callum looked at his hands. I've been thinking about Maya, he told me. About what it would feel like if someone told her she wasn't invited. At a family gathering. with juice on her face. I looked at my kitchen wall. He would never say that to Maya, I replied. No, Callum told me. He wouldn't. And I've been sitting with the weight of that. What it means that he would say it to Lily without thinking and would never say it to Maya without thinking. It means they're different categories to him, I replied. Yes, Callum told me. It does. He looked at his hands. I'm not going to the beach trip, he told me. I looked at him. Petra and I talked about it, he continued. We're not going. I called Mom this morning and told her. I sat with that. You don't have to do that, I told him. I know, he replied. I want to. I should have done something like it years ago. I didn't because it was easier not to. And easier has been costing you and Lily something I didn't fully account for. From down the hall, the sound of Lily and Maya talking, the specific sound of two children in a room together who are comfortable with each other. Thank you, I told him. He nodded. We sat in the kitchen for a while and drank coffee and did not talk about the picnic anymore. From the hallway, the sound of the children was the best sound in the apartment. My father did not call again. I did not expect him to. Douglas was not a man who revisited decisions he had made, even the ones made by accident in front of 8-year-olds with juice on their faces. He had framed the situation as my overreaction, and the frame would hold because he needed it to hold. My mother came for lunch 3 weeks later. Just her. She came to my apartment for the first time, which I understood the significance of, and she brought things for Lily, specific things, the kind of things you bring when you have been paying attention to what someone is interested in. Lily received them with the careful warmth of a child who is deciding whether to trust an extension of affection. Over lunch, Vivian asked Lily about school. About her friends. About the book she had been reading, which she had mentioned to me in passing and which Vivian had apparently stored and asked about. Lily answered carefully at first. By the end of lunch, Lily was talking at full speed about the book and her friend and the project she was doing in science, and Vivian was listening with the full attention of someone who has decided to be present rather than manage. After Lily went to play, Vivian sat at my table with her hands around her coffee mug. She's extraordinary, Vivian told me. Yes, I replied. She is. I should have seen that more clearly before, she told me. I looked at my kitchen wall. You're seeing it now, I replied. That's what matters. My mother nodded. She came back the following month. We have not been to a family event since the picnic. This is 11 months now. 11 months of Sundays that do not involve driving to a gathering and managing the reception my daughter receives in a room full of people who are supposed to love her. Lily has not asked about family events. She asked once, about 3 months after the picnic, whether she was still mad at Grandpa Douglas. I thought about it. I'm not mad, I told her. I'm clear. Those are different. She thought about that. Clear means you understand what something is, she told me. Yes, I replied. Exactly. She went back to what she was doing. She has not asked again. Callum and I have dinner once a month. Sometimes with the kids, sometimes without. The relationship between us is different from what it was before the picnic, more honest, less managed, the version of a sibling relationship that becomes available when one person finally says the true thing and the other person decides to hear it. He told me last month that my father asked about Lily at Easter. I looked at him. He asked if she was doing well, Callum told me. In a way that wasn't performative. Just asked. I sat with that. What did you say? I asked. I told him she was doing great, Callum told me. That she was reading at a level 2 years above her grade. That she had made a best friend this year named Clara. That she had decided she wanted to learn to draw. I looked at my brother. He nodded, Callum told me. He just nodded and didn't say anything else. I thought about the chuckle. The "you're not invited, sweetheart." The nod at Easter was not those things. It was not those things, and it was also not sufficient, and I was holding both of those true things simultaneously. Thank you for telling him, I told Callum. He should know who she is, Callum replied. Even if he can't be who she needs him to be. The fold-out under the oak tree stays in my memory. Lily eating fruit with juice on her face. The world showing her something she did not know the world contained. The promise I made in the car. I have kept it. Not as punishment. As clarity. As the specific understanding of a parent who spent 6 years hoping that proximity would eventually produce belonging and learned, in one chuckle at a family picnic, that some doors do not open from the outside. You cannot bring a child into a room that has decided what category she occupies and expect the room to change its mind through repeated exposure. The room does not change. You change what you walk into. My daughter looked up at my father with juice on her face and hope in her chest. He chuckled. He told her she was not invited. And I packed our things. And every family event since then has happened without us and will continue to happen without us until someone in that room decides that my daughter is worth the discomfort of a real conversation. That is not a threat. It is a standard. And the standard is not negotiable. Protect your child from the rooms that have already decided who she is. Even when those rooms call themselves family. Especially then.